excited because that's always popular when they are not. So that will happen directly at, well, it says 7:55, but we'll 7:45 outside, right? So on Thursdays. So, and then Friday in a school mass, we'll have our May crowning. The 8th graders will. There is no preschool, so the plan is to have the 8th graders kind of be. We'll have more space for the parents. So parents of 8th graders, you are allowed to come to that because it's an event for them. So the difficulty with having 500 students is we fill up the church pretty well. So this kind of worked out in that preschool won't be here to give space for the parents. And then in honor of Mother's Day, we have a school mass. I don't remember who's hosting it, but I know that we are not having a bake sale because she said, who's hosting it?
Excuse me, this is a relation, nothing.
She,
¿No se escucha nada? ¿Sí?
So let me see. I think it's 4th grade B, but I'm not sure. But I will tell you right now. 4th grade. So 4th grade, I was right. All right, and then the 22nd, 8th grade is going to Castle. Well, first on the 12th, they'll have the awards ceremony. I don't see that on there, but on the 12th, they'll have the awards ceremony. It'll be in the CSC. And then on the 22nd, Castles and Coasters, they'll have a Chick-fil-A dinner. Then the last day of 8th grade, and then graduation mass at 6 p.m. And then the last day for everyone, I keep telling people it's the 25th. Maybe that's wishful thinking, because it's actually Friday the 26th. And that will be an 11 o'clock early release. So the last day is a little bit shorter, but we will have mass, and then it's kind of, they'll have their yearbooks. It's kind of the last day. All right, so preliminary ITBS data, I haven't gotten the scores yet. Normally, this is when I'd say, well, these are the things that we did well on, these are the things that we need to work on. I haven't gotten it back yet. We took it approximately the week before Thanksgiving. Mrs. Flores sent in the answer sheets the day of Holy Thursday, and usually we would have it by now, but we don't. So we are going to have our Dibbles and Galileo done in the next couple weeks, and I'm going to go over the questionnaire that you got, and one of the questions on there was, how do we know how you're doing versus like public schools? And the answer to that is 3 different ways. One is ITBS, which I cannot show you right now, but you should get the data every year. That is a normative assessment based on every student that took that test in the entire nation, right? It's not, obviously it's not going to be with a lot of Arizona public schools because they take the AZ merit, but it is with all the schools and all the students that took it nationwide. The 2 other ways is the Galileo assessment. So if you get the scores from the Galileo assessment, know that that is the prevalent assessment used by schools in Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada. So with very high confidence, if a student is proficient in reading, math, or science on that assessment, then they are proficient if they were to take the AZ merit, or any other assessment, and it ranks them based on, it's a benchmark assessment that ranks them on the scores comparative to the students in these states. And then the final one for reading, which we take K through 6, is the DIBELS, Dynamic Indicator of Basic Elementary Literacy Skills. This is also an assessment, a reading assessment, that is normative and based on pretty much the entire nation. If the student ranks proficient on that assessment, then they are proficient in any school in America. I can't give you AZ merit scores because we don't take it. But those 3 valid assessments are how we rank ourselves comparative to schools around us. Because I promise if you go to Alicio Felix or Laddie Core, they're taking at least one of those assessments. They're for sure taking DIBELS, and they're most likely taking Galileo. So with that being said, we instituted the raw folders. They continue to be effective. Please continue to do them over the summer. We're going to talk about that. Extra math also, right? When I came here a million years ago, exactly almost 10 years ago, the reoccurring complaint was our kids didn't know their basic math facts. They didn't know their basic math facts. That was this complaint to that complaint to that. We instituted extra math at every grade level, and that has stopped. And I promise you, without seeing the data, one of our highest scores will be in math computation, which tells you that our students know their basic math. I mean, with the complaint in 8th grade was always, hey, they can't do algebra if they can't multiply or divide. Usually it's multiplication and subtraction that kids have the most problem with. It's not adding to, it's always taking away. But keeping that up, keeping that fluent over the summer, it's a benefit for starting the year for next year and for keeping them the gains that they make each year. I promise you my poor kids are going to be doing it. Your poor kids should too. The kids, if you're listening, you're welcome. Normally I go over some reading strategies, activating, kind of like, asking them, what are you going to read, inferring, they read something and then you ask them, what does that mean? Or how can you do that with your normal life, right? Clarifying, if something didn't make sense, they can go back, they can ask questions, try to figure it out, obvious question strategy, and then summarizing and visualizing. Those two are the most important in my opinion. Summarizing, an easy thing to ask your son or daughter after they read is to ask them, what happened? What just happened in the story? When we take that DIBELS assessment, the kids read for 1 minute, usually 3 different stories. And then what I say is, tell me everything you can about the story you just read. And then they get ranked on, did they have facts? Did they have facts in order? Did they have facts in the order with a main idea? Well, if they're reading out loud to you, you all passed 2nd grade, you all passed 8th grade. You were listening to the story, you know if they got they have their facts, they have them in order, and they have the main idea, right? So, good things. All right, so the survey. We sent it out. Thank you to everyone that did it. We've got approximately 162. Not everyone answered every question, but approximately 162 people took the survey. So we got some results. I'm going to kind of go through them a little bit right now. Don't look at that. I cleaned that up. It looked better before. I'm not going to go over everything, but for the most part, the strongly and agree were our biggest components, 70, 80 to 90%, depending on the thing. We did have some disagrees. We had one person strongly disagreed to everything, which was impressive. But overall, the ones that I want to change one way or the other are, I don't know, or I'm neutral, right? Because neutral is just kind of like, eh. So I'm going to go through the first, 10. The first one, everyone in the school community, principals, teachers, and staff, students, and parents know and understand the school's mission. Well, our kids, we say it every day, right? St. John Vianney is a Catholic school guided by the Congregation of Holy Cross, educating both minds and hearts while achieving high academic standards and embracing the call to serve. So in that one, there were 4 people that disagreed with that statement, 2 that strongly disagreed, and 7 didn't know. But I promise you, every single day the kids say that statement. And we are educating their minds and hearts. That's our purpose. So if you're like, I don't know, hopefully, if anyone's out there, I don't know, hopefully they don't know. Our school's mission affects everything we do. Our mission is our purpose. So this was actually, 52 were neutral on this one. I want to change that. These are one of the things I want to change, right? I want people to realize that our mission is to educate their minds and hearts. That includes volunteering, finding those opportunities to help the poor, which is one of the questions in here, which I agree that we need to work on. right? So there are some things that you were one of the comments, I mean, some of the comments were like, you're the greatest, which thank you, whoever wrote that. But some were like pretty pointed in in their criticisms. They weren't, said I was going to answer most questions. There weren't that many questions. They're mostly comments. So the 2 questions I can answer right now. Number 1, Spanish. I get asked this a lot. So 6th grade, do you have any 6th graders in the house? No. Okay, well, 6th grade, yeah, we do right there. You tricked me. I see a 6th grader right now. They are doing, they're piloting Duolingo. So we're going to roll it out to the entire school next year. So we'll take like 10 to 15 minutes, and each student will do Spanish and Duolingo. I know it's not a Spanish teacher, but it's going to be practice, and it'll help them build their vocabulary, and it's very cost effective because I've looked every year the guy from Rosetta Stone calls me and wants $50,000. And I'm like, dude, I don't have that kind of money. Duolingo's free for an entire school, so we're going to give that a shot first. The second question is, hey, you raised tuition. What are you going to do with it? Great question. Use it. No, just kidding. Well, yeah, use it. But from the standpoint of during COVID, we did not raise tuition. We did not raise tuition that entire time. We did last year to meet the exact amount of corporate, which is $5,900. We're doing it this year. We're not raising it all the way to what ESA is, because ESA is approximately $6,900. But just like in America, the costs have gone up. I mean, in Maricopa County especially, but also from the standpoint of we're trying to not run a deficit. To do that, we need to get as much ESA or STO money to meet the needs of the school. Yes?
When you say the cost has gone up, what cost has gone up for the school?
What costs have gone up for the school? Electricity, the cost of the programs, technology, everything. Every component of what we use to educate has gone up, including the cost of not the decodables, but the books that we have to buy every year to our curriculum. The costs have increased. So relatively everything. Yes, Father?
I'd like to.
No, you betcha.
Thanks, Mr. Wyvoda, for bringing up this really important topic. Many of you know that it's one of my little pet projects is to be more transparent with our costs and with our income. And Mr. Wyvoda and I, along with Father Paul earlier this year, realized that the charged tuition, and that's what we list for those who are able to pay the entire amount or a partial amount, what we're able to complement and supplement with other sources, is still below what it costs to educate your students. So every year, the parish subsidizes about $260,000 from the parish collection plate that people at all the masses give to help educate the students of St. John Vianney. We know that there's only 2 ways to bring things in line. You either lower the costs or increase the income. Ideally, both. Like Mr. Wyvoda said, last year in the Valley, inflation was at 10.5%. That's gas, that's food, that's lots of stuff, right? We want to be a school that lives justice, and so that means that we have to be aware of the costs that our teachers are bearing, our maintenance and other staff members are bearing. We wish that we could kind of overnight, get everybody to adjust wage and help them recoup the 10.5% inflation that they're bearing, as well as keep tuition low. We're trying our best on that, and I'll tell you, when you see the numbers, and that's going to be published not so detailed, you're not going to see what people make, okay? People have a right to privacy. But across the parish, including the school, we're going to be able to share some important data about our energy costs, overall personnel costs. Gosh, you'll see that it's not Father David buying a hot tub, okay? We're not taking any of the money that's coming in and spending it wastefully. We are really, really, really aware of the sacrifice that our parents make to be able to pay the tuition, as well as our parishioners. And if we didn't use the money from our parish for the school, we could be using it for a lot of other things. So this is an important gift from the parish community to our students. And certainly the sacrifice of our leaders and our teachers, willing to work for, let's be honest, less than they would make in other places or in other schools, okay? So thank you for your confidence. Thank you for your commitment. And it's kind of a fun summer project for me is to work on numbers and be able to provide that to you in a way that's easily understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. I'll leave it at that. He's pretty good. So that was a main question. Those are the only questions per se. Sorry about this. All right, well, while this is trying to find it, the third question was, our school's mission statement clearly states that we are a Catholic school. That was one of our most strongly agreed, because it's like the fifth word, right? St. John Vianney is a Catholic school. So somebody strongly disagreed with that. Religion class is very important and taught by knowledgeable teachers. That actually is a pretty good score right there. More than most, right? And I want you to know that all of our teachers go through catechist certification training through the keynote. Everyone has to have it done by their third year, and we're going for to be at 100% by this summer. So everyone goes through it's 2 weeks of courses to become licensed catechist in the Diocese of Phoenix, and then after that you have 3 years to get the continuing hours of 25 hours. I think some of these things I need to better explain, because how many of you knew that? You did, right? No, thank you. I knew it. I've known it for a long time. So I think if anything in this survey, and this was there was a comment in the survey, is like, how am I supposed to say yes or no to these if I don't know about them? And that is a great point. So with that, I'm going to be looking through this to make sure that everyone understands and knows as much as I can tell. In all subjects, teachers help students think about the gospel values and Catholic beliefs to make the world a better place. Again, not bad scores. There was a lot of neutrals, right? I will say this, when teachers write their lesson plans, that's something they put in. That's part of their anticipatory set, is how this relates to the Catholic teachings. I've been in a lot of lessons. Everyone remembers when I'm sitting in there watching their lessons, they always remember. I promise you, they always remember. But that's something you should know, right? You bring your kids to a Catholic school to get a Catholic teaching, right? They're going to teach y equals mx plus b, right? That, with y being the m being the slope and b meaning the y-intercept. But they do need to find a way to incorporate that into the greater Catholic culture. Some things are easier than others, right? Language arts stories and social studies and science are really easy to relate to your Catholicism. Sometimes a little bit more difficult in math. Not picking on Ezra again, but third grade, they had Father Andrew coming in, and Father Andrew was telling him that, God is math. And Ezra looked at him and he says, I don't want to hear that again. That blew his mind for some reason, but just know that is our purpose, is to find those gospel values in all education. Our school provides opportunities outside the classroom for students to develop their faith and participate in Mass, sacraments, and prayer. Well, tomorrow we have our second grade first reconciliation. In third grade, our kids have their first communion and confirmation. We have Friday Mass every Friday. We always have them on holy days of obligation, but we also, something that clicked during COVID, when we couldn't have everyone in here, was that we were rotating grade levels. That's why those rows are reserved every day, because we rotate grade levels from kindergarten through 8th grade, so that like every other week they get another Mass. It's another opportunity for them to, get the Eucharist, to hear a homily, and take part in their Catholic faith. That was actually a COVID bonus, because I had never thought of that before, but I had to come up with a way for the kids to get to Mass. So a lot of things, and COVID, you can blame COVID for a lot of things, but that was actually a great thing. This one is like one of the ones we need to work on. It said, our school provides opportunities outside the classroom for students to do service on behalf of the poor and those in need. I've had that conversation with Father David. We are going to work on this one. I know that this one, we do our pantry drives. We do those every month, and like we bring in, like the Super Bowl brought in 900 cans of soup, so much so that they don't really want much more cans of soup for the year because we did a great job. But we need to do more. We used to have our peanut butter jelly drive. They for a while didn't want our sandwiches. I believe we went over to the Andre House, and they'll want them now, so that's a good thing. But we need to find more opportunities for our students to do service. It's in our mission statement. Just like it says we're Catholic, it also in our mission statement that we're embracing the call to serve. So I am going to work, especially for next year, to find more opportunities like that. And if you know of an opportunity like that, come talk to me. Like some of the things we've done in the past is helped at Special Olympics, but I was talking to them today, and maybe we can go to St. Vincent or the St. Mary's Food Bank, or just or Andre House, just opportunities to live their faith in service. And I know, like, part of the reason was that it was tough is because, I'm going to say COVID again, but COVID, we couldn't go to those places, or we couldn't do these things, but we're not there anymore. We need to bring it back. I'm only going to do like 2 more. I told you only do 10. You guys, I can see your eyes. I am a teacher for a long time. You're glazed. 8, in our school, adults do service on behalf of the poor and those in need. Well, I think that would be hand in hand with the other one. If we can find opportunities for the kids, we can find opportunities for the adults. Because it could be done as a family. The principal, teacher, and staff serve as role models in faith and service to the students. This one hurt a little bit because there was 47 people that were like, I'm not sure. I want to strive to get those 47, at least one left. I am here to serve as a role model of faith. Like, Father, I was an assistant principal. I was a teacher mentor in the public schools. That is not where my heart is. My heart's here. So I want your kids to see me, I want them to see me as an educator, but I want them to see me as an educator in the faith. And that's what I want for Mrs. Sotelo, and that's what I want for every one of my teachers. So that is something, if we have 47 people that are on the fence on that, I want to move that over. And if we have 7 people that don't believe that, I want to change their minds. And then finally, number 10, our school adults take time to pray together. That's an interesting question because I was thinking to myself, how would you know? Literally. You know that we pray before the kids eat, right? You know that we do the Angelus prayer. We know on Friday we do the Nicene Creed. But how do you know that Mrs. Sotelo and I pray, or we get a group of teachers together to pray. You don't know that. So, number one, I think it's something we can work on, and number two, you'll know. All right? So there's more questions here. There's 28. I'm only going to go to 10 but I might just send this out. Would you be okay if I sent this out so you can look it over? Thumbs up rather than listening to me this whole time? All right, thumbs up. Great. So I will know that this is kind of raw. It's broken into categories, not percentages. But you can look at it and you can say, hey, I agree with that, or hey, I have a question on that. And if you look it over, and if you have a question, come talk to me. I'll explain it the best I can. And if the answer is we can do better, then the answer is we can do better. All right? Where do these questions? Oh, great question. Where do these questions come from? So next year we are going to be. We have our accreditation that will be done by the Western Catholic Education Association, WCEA. So these questions are questions that a standard set of questions that they have you send out for each school that's being accredited. And I think I think it's interesting to see this data. I think it'll be something we do much more regularly, because I want to see this initial one versus after everyone's kind of looked it over. So, but a great question. Our accreditation is coming up next year. It is literally the week of Valentine's Day. And if you're wondering, hey, will Mrs. Wyvoda go into labor during this one? The answer, not happening. Not happening. So I will be there for the entire time. That's what happened last time. Any additional questions? Cool. Thank you. Just a few more slides. First of all, we had the gala on Saturday. Thank you to everyone that helped. And Father Joe's pretty amazing, but at our table was Nancy Padberg. She is the CEO of Catholic Education Arizona. And she told me that, obviously she's asking me about SEOs, right? ESA, right? How many of our families are choosing ESA? And I said, a fair amount, right? A fair amount. I told all of you, and I sent out an email, that Dominic, our superintendent, said it would be in your best interest to do both, just to be on the safe side. And Nancy said that it's very likely with CEA that, because let's say they have the same amount of money as they had last year, and there's less pool, that the awards are going to be bigger. The same is true having talked to the guy in charge of ALF and with the Brophy people. So if you know you're going to qualify for all those STOs, because you've done it, since we've been talking about that since I've been here, 2013, you are going to be fully funded. But if you're going to do ESA, you're going to do ESA. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. My only concern is government, choices, whatever. Know this year, you were able to, let's say, do quarter one STO and then change your mind, right? And we had a lot of people that did that. Because ESA didn't open up till October, right? Which is well into the second quarter. This upcoming school year, 23 and 24, they will not let you do that. So if you pick, I'm going to do STOs, then you have to stay with STOs. You cannot switch to ESA during the school year. If you pick ESA, you can't say, oh, I don't like this anymore. I'm gonna try to go back to the STOs, which that probably wouldn't work anyways. But you have to pick one or the other and go with it. That just came out, a ruling that came out by the state last Thursday or Friday. So I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying, whatever your lane is, whatever lane you pick, CEA, ALF, Brophy, that STO lane, stay in it. Or if you go ESA, stay in it, because you cannot cross lanes. They will not allow All right, so I made a kind of a list here, and I got some pictures from a lot from you, and I got some from the teachers too. Just what are some of the great things that happened this year? And I now realize that green is a horrible color to use. Sorry about that. Third grade sacrament mass, that happened. I'm kind of biased. My son, I love watching it. I know it hasn't happened until tomorrow, but the second grade first reconciliation, I do love those two things. I put the father-daughter dance up there third because as a father, I was talking about this today, I like things where fathers can do. And you know when fathers can do things? Is when they're safe environment trained. Right, Mrs. Sotelo? We do. We want you, dads. We do. Moms, we want you too, but you're almost expected. I don't mean that in a rude way, but dads, you're tougher to get. So get your oh, wow, that's close. I said get your stuff. Get your safe environment, which will open up again in July 1st is when the new videos, if you're fully trained, that's when you can do it to be ready, not the day before a field trip, because especially if you're brand new, because then you still have to do the face-to-face and the things, it's just impossible. July 1st. The mother-son dance, that was also good. I got to see a little bit of it because I helped. That was nice. Mothers have wanted their dances. Family ornament night, it's always great. All Hallows Eve event. May crowning, which will happen on Friday. We won the diocesan tournaments in volleyball and soccer, and we were undefeated going into the basketball tournament. So we took third. Yeah, right? The kids are amazing. We got Pokemon Club, the 8th grade electives. For electives this year, we had robotics, cooking, yearbook. What does Mr. Gabati do? Forensics. And so a lot of great things happening in 8th grade electives. And 6th grade did do the lingual Spanish, and next year that will be all the grades. So I got some pictures here. A couple from the father-daughter dance, from the mother-son, and our champions at the bottom. I always love to get some pictures at the end of the year. They're fun. So if you want to be, that's what I'm saying, is like, we didn't have a football team because we didn't have a football coach. And it doesn't have to be a guy. I'm just saying, like, it can be anyone. But for next year, with this kind of championship pedigree, I'm assuming our football team would be good too. And I have been here, this will be a decade starting in July. We have never had a volleyball team since I've been here, and we have never had a baseball team. Now, the logistics of that would be difficult, I'm not going to lie, but I'm willing to work it out, figure it out. So if you're like, hey, I love softball, or hey, wouldn't we need to have a baseball team? People have been threatening to have a baseball team at this school for, I've been here 10 years, I would say 15. But at least the football coach. And I know there's a football coach out there somewhere, so know that's coming. And so kind of just giving you a heads up what's going to happen for next year. Super Saturday is July 29th, and it'll be from 8 to noon. Know this, that one thing that Dennis Uniform does not do anymore is come. They don't do it anymore. They will not come out to our Super Saturday, but they will give us like the 15% discount on that day. So know that is coming. They don't have the manpower that they once had. Back to school mass and meet the teacher is August 6th, which is a Sunday, Father David, not Saturday. He caught one of my mistakes. So it'll be like we'd normally do. We'll have mass at 11, and then we'll have meet the teacher from 12 to 1:15 approximately. First day of school is Wednesday, August 9th. It's an early 12:35, 45 early release. And like I said, football coach needed. The season starts right away. So if you are someone that loves football and you want the kids to play football, You do need a fingerprint clearance card, and you might as well be an IVP because they're the same price as the other ones. But I can help you with that. Come see me. And then bus drivers needed. We're always in the need of bus drivers. It's the shortage of teachers it's the same for bus drivers as well. Because we go on field trips during the week. Bus drivers drive during the week, and they're shorthanded. We can't afford to go on those pretty coaches because those are insanely expensive. Avondale will only let us do it from like 8:35 to 1, and only if they can. But if we had a dedicated bus driver, which I'm willing to pay for, it's not for free, that would help us we could go any day on a field trip. We've had field trips this year where we've paid for like the zoo or the farm or whatever, but we had to cancel it because no way to get there. So I know that, and if you like, hey man, I want to be a bus driver, we can talk. You can practice with the school bus. I don't know how we'll figure that out, right? But know that it is really needed. It's never been harder to go on a field trip than it has been this year. I mean, COVID, we didn't even think about it, right? We didn't go because we couldn't get on the bus. And it probably would have been easier to get a bus driver because they weren't really using it. But getting a bus driver now during the week has been really, really hard. Yes?
Do you know how much is the endorsement for CDL drivers to be a bus driver?
I have no idea. I wish I did. I just know that it has to be the CDL with the passenger endorsement. It can't just be you can't be a dump truck driver. It's got to be a dump truck driver plus you can drive with people in the back. That's a great question. Maybe I'll look into it more. I look into it and then I get pulled away, All right, so with that being said, that is the last thing. So I have a couple things. So we have the free dress classes. It'll be for Thursday. And we do have people watching at home, but they will have to get to the school office by 11 o'clock, and they have to say the word Snowbank. If they don't say Snowbank, they do not get a free dress pass. All right, so, yes?
I don't have a question, it's more of a statement. I just wanted to say it's refreshing to see Father David more of a presence like at the meetings and at school, because we haven't seen any of that since Father Tom was felt kind of lost. So it's nice to see you here and always at the school.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. Thanks for your patience with me. And I would say, we remember the last couple of years with COVID, it's been a little tricky for the different priests. So I'm glad that we're coming out of COVID so that we can all be together a bit more often. So I'm happy to be there.
And we also appreciate that you are not as long-winded as Father Tom.
Whoa. No envelope in place.
Father David, that's it for me. Hey, Father David, would you willing to do a final blessing?
Right after you say that, I'm not long-winded.
Also, we'll get after this, we'll pass them out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Vaivoda. We see each other on Sundays at Mass, and I know you all pray together in your homes. We in Holy Cross talk a lot about the family that prays together, stays together. That works in your home family, that works in our school family, and that works in our parish family. We're praying a lot for unity these days. We're praying for patience. We're praying for it's kind of the buena onda, as they talk about, kind of the joy. And so let's ask the Lord to come down upon us. Father, send us your Holy Spirit. Heal any of our hurts. Forgive us our sins. Love us and love our children. Keep them safe. Keep them friendly. Bless their teachers and their moms and dads. Bless all of those around the world this night who aren't receiving all the blessings that we have. We ask all of this, Father, in Jesus' holy name. Amen. And I ask the Lord's blessing upon you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Go in peace. Can I tell the duck joke?
Please do.
You guys all heard this duck joke, right?
The duck joke?
The duck joke. You didn't hear the duck joke? No, the duck joke about the 3 ladies that died and went to heaven. You heard this one. So these 3 ladies died and they got to the pearly gates of heaven. And St. Peter comes out and says, welcome. You know, here's kind of the rules and regulations of heaven. But I got to tell you, the biggest rule on this list is do not step on ducks. You're going to see a lot of ducks in heaven. Do not step on them. And the ladies look like you guys right now. Like, what's the deal with the ducks? St. Peter says, listen, God loves the ducks. So the ducks are everywhere. And if you step on them, it's a big problem. Like what? What happens if we step on a duck? Just don't step on the duck. Okay? The ladies go in. About a month later, they're walking around talking, having a good time, and one of the ladies steps on a duck. Whack, poof. Duck disappears. Here comes St. Peter with the ugliest guy he ever saw. It takes out a pair of golden handcuffs and cuffs one to the guy who's super ugly and one to this lady. He says, I'm sorry, you stepped on a duck, and the rule is you got to spend the rest of eternity with this guy. So careful to you other 2. Well, these other 2 are like, okay. Well, a couple months later, the second lady steps on a duck. Whack, poof. Duck disappears, and there's St. Peter with an even uglier guy. Where are these guys coming from? I don't know. And so St. Peter takes out the cuffs and puts it on one guy's hand, or on a lady's hand and on this ugly guy's hand. Okay, you got to spend the rest of eternity together. Third lady, now super nervous. So she's walking very carefully through heaven. I mean, there's ducks everywhere. She's avoiding the ducks. And out of nowhere, without any notice, poof, there appears St. Peter with the handsomest guy you ever saw. What my mom would have called a hunk. You remember that name? That title? Hunk. Well, this is what this guy looks like. And this lady says, wow, my Lord, what have I done to deserve to spend the rest of eternity with a handsome guy like this? And he looks at her and says, lady, I don't know what you did, but I stepped on a duck. So you got to be careful. Be very careful. Thanks for coming out tonight, everybody. Do we have any other announcements? All right. See you at the gate.